Would it be an episode without us having to do
A
a caveat
disclaimer?
intro? It sure wouldn't.
Sure wouldn't. Happy 4th of
It
July. I hope
sure
you use this
wouldn't.
to remember how antiquated this system is and how long ago we signed the Declaration of Independence. Also, not even how long ago, but do you know how old all those fucks were when they signed it? 18 to 25, all of them. You know, your prefrontal cortex isn't even fully developed to 26, 27. So
Mhm.
maybe we can use today to think about how antiquated our systems are because that's the whole theme of this episode.
That was a good fun fact. Um, yeah, we were noticeably angry and annoyed in this episode and wanted to come on here really quickly just because, Meadow and I, when we're in those moods, tend to have a million thoughts swirling in our head. And I think it was difficult for us to sort of formulate all of them because obviously we wanted to come on here and vent and like have a moment to provide resources and just like a space for us all to be annoyed together, I think, and upset and disheartened together. And then with that sort of trickled into a conversation of Meadows and I's experiences with our own personal bodies, with birth control, which like frankly has nothing to do with abortion access.
We had a lot of big ideas for this episode, and this episode became processing in real time. And even though we feel like we went in with like an idea of the value we wanted to provide and came out with something completely different, we're airing it anyway because here's us processing and learning in real time. This episode is not what we thought it was going to
It sure
be.
wasn't. Yeah. I'm like, enjoy, but like, will you?
I'm sure you will. If you've ever been, curious about birth control or getting on or getting off or have had side effects or weird things, there's tangents in there that I think are helpful for
Yeah, and
sure.
even that said, like, we wanna do a completely separate episode on birth control because, again, birth control has nothing to do with what we're talking about, and so we,
Right.
like I think there were moments in the episode that we were trying to, like, talk about birth control, and then we would realize that it had nothing to do with it, and we would stop. So it's like we didn't even get into that in detail.
Yeah,
So,
this episode literally is just us processing.
yeah, okay.
But hey, I think examples of people processing are good examples anyway. That's what the show's all about. So
That's
here it
why you're
is, even
here.
though we're not huge on it.
Okay, have fun. Meadow just told me that we're getting reviews that our podcast is too low.
Yeah,
So we're trying something different.
if you're on the subway and you couldn't hear us previously, we're so sorry. We're working on it. So let us know if this is better.
Yeah, please do because we have quite the episode for you today.
Boy, do we.
Yeah,
You want to this is our first episode since the overturn of Roe v. Wade, and we have some thoughts, feelings, and concerns to say the least.
we do. And you know what's funny and interesting? So the other day I was with a friend and I was saying that Giveon just came out with a new album. And he
Mm,
was like, he did? Like, I didn't hear anything about this. I'm like, yeah, you want to know why you didn't hear anything about this? Because it came out the same day
on
all of our rights
Friday?
were taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And he
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, wow, what a day for a man to drop an album. Like that sucks for like
Bummer.
his publicist and like PR team. And
Bummer.
even funnier, honestly, like I love Giveon, big Giveon stan here, but
Don't
like
really know him at all. Oh,
toxic boy.
oh.
And he came out with a song that I can just see. It's called Trying to Be, I think is what it's called. Came out with a song that is I can just see it being the anthem for toxic men everywhere because it is truly
They don't
just
need one. They have plenty of anthems already.
I know they already have Drake, but they have Drake, they have Future. Like these men have gotten too many things this summer. And now this fucking song with Giveon is like literally him explaining him cheating on his girlfriend, basically, and being like, "Ah,
Chill.
it's just when I'm on the road, like, there's just so many
Woe is
options, and, like,
me.
the more famous that I get, there's just more girls waiting for me when I get off stage, and, like, I just don't know what to do, like, it's just so hard, like, And I heard the lyrics, and I was
Mm,
like,
mhm, mhm,
every
mhm,
toxic
mhm.
man I know is gonna be like yeah, like, he literally says a line where he's like, "I told her that I'm in love with you, but she's okay being my number 2," and I'm like, the men that I know that are gonna be like, yes, like, this just, like fucking explains my life.
I'll just
oh
be
God.
over here listening to Kendrick talk about Eckhart Tolle over and over and over again because I will still never I talked about this on TikTok, but I'll never get over it. So this is why I don't know who Giveon is because absolutely not. No, thank
He
you.
makes great music though, and he has a great voice, and he's
Kendrick makes better music.
I mean, listen. Oh my God, I got a haircut. They cut like 5 inches off my hair.
I love it. I think you look
Thank
like
you.
you have Hailey
It's growing
Bieber
on me.
hair.
I really had a meltdown the first day, and now I'm like into it.
That's how every haircut is.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right.
I mean, that's how
Anyway,
every haircut is for me.
yeah, I just had to go into that sidebar, and I had to give that little Givey on unpacking because I was like, "That's just too funny. It's just too funny."
I'll listen to it. Everyone listen to that and then go listen to new Kendrick to just balance that shit out for yourself.
And like, if you see a man post that song on their story,
Run.
ask me if I've seen that because I sure have.
You wanna just jump into, like, our thesis statement and why we wanted to do this?
Yeah, I want the people to see our mugs really quickly
Oh, okay. It's
because
very
they match
indicative
the
of how we
episode.
feel today. Cheer up, fucker.
I'm not always a bitch. Just kidding. Go fuck yourself. I've had this mug for way too many years.
And
Cheers,
she bought
bitch.
it for herself.
Oh, I sure did. I think I was like in high school or college. I don't know. Either way, I was too old to be purchasing that.
I love it.
And then I
That's,
like
like,
sit here
low-key
like
your
trying
millennial side, you know?
yeah. And then I'm like sitting on this podcast trying to prove that I'm like a nice person and my mugs are literally telling people to go fuck themselves. Like, yeah.
Yeah, same.
All right, take it away, sister.
Range.
Hmm.
Okay,
Range.
basically, if it's not abundantly clear already, Gabby and I firmly believe that abortion is every person who is going through a pregnancy's right to determine what they'd like to do with. And as
Or
in a country that's not supposed to be ruled by religion, you're all welcome to believe whatever you'd like to believe. I'm not going to fucking like do whatever you want with your body, but let people make the choice to do what they want with their
maybe.
bodies.
Separation of
It's
church and
very, very,
state.
very simple. Very, very
That's why we
simple.
live in this country.
However, now that our reality
Mm.
is a little bit different, and although Gabby and I live in states where we could still get abortions if we wanted to, we realize not everyone does. So we wanted to talk through a little bit about what other options for taking control of your reproductive health are through the lens of like our experiences. So, kind of like what options we know, what our experiences have been with all of them, and like just trying to give you different tools to empower yourself if abortions are harder for you to find or get to now.
Mhm.
Not like people are using that as their go-to option, but just to just bring up this conversation and, like, give everyone tools of empowerment.
I mean, I don't even think I need to say it on here because I think the people listening to this podcast are probably in agreement with us.
Right.
But that's a funny little misconception anti-choice people love to throw out is the adoption's this the kinder option. Like no one's like, you know what I'm gonna do today for fun? I'm gonna get an abortion. Like no one thinks that way. No one really
It's the
does.
fucking hardest shit to go through.
No one uses an abortion as birth control. Like
No.
that's just not what it is.
Right.
And by the way, adoption isn't the kinder option because none of those kids are actually getting adopted. So
And take it from someone that has an adopted sister, like, what happens to get there and how you go through it and issues come like, there's so much behind adoption and, like, there's so many kids that need to be adopted and need to be rescued from the fucking foster care system right now. Like, we don't need to be
yeah.
I just
If
whatever,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever.
If you are not funneling all of your money into the foster care system, I don't ever want to hear you say that adoption is the kinder option.
Right.
Just so you know.
Anyway, this wasn't for us to defend our own position. Once again, we are
No.
just here to give resources and tools. First of all, if you do need an abortion, there's still option like Plan C
Mhm.
pills, Planned Parenthood. Like we linked in our last episode a bunch of resources and we'll link them again. But let's talk about other birth control options and other ways we can take control of our reproductive rights because as two girls that were on birth control for a long ass fucking time, we have some shit to say about it. But so like in general, other options, like things we're gonna be talking about today, birth control. You know that one temperature tracking one? I wrote that down just to bring it up, but I know
You
nothing
can
about it.
track your ovulation that way.
Right, but is so it's ovulation and then also you can use that as, like, you just don't have sex during those 3 days when your temperature is higher? Is that the rule? Or is it 24 hours?
I don't know the rules exactly because I don't use it because my ovulation is not I don't always ovulate when I'm supposed to be ovulating. Thank you so much, PCOS.
Yeah,
So I don't use an ovulation tracker. I'm trying to get my hormones to a place where I can. So I don't feel comfortable sharing the rules. So read the box. But
right.
there are those thermometers. But it's just, oh, hold on. Before we even get into those things, there's just so many misconceptions and misinformation that
Mm.
and things that we're just not taught in school. Like the fact that you
Oh,
literally can
nothing.
only get pregnant when you're ovulating
Mhm.
is not a fact that people know.
No.
Even the fact that abortion is still legal in this country is not a fact that everyone knows. Right? Because, like, you just
Mhm.
see that it's overturned and you're like, "Oh, I can't, my options are done," which is can be dangerous because then it might resort to unsafe options, and unfortunately, while that might be the reality for a lot of people, there are still options. There's a lot of great resources that if you're in a state where abortion is no longer legal, they can help get you to a state and provide
Mhm.
funds and facilitate just, like, administrative logistical things to get you there, like, if you need childcare, et cetera, place to stay. Those were just 2 points that I was thinking about now when we were talking is, like, just the lack of education that's really just around all of this. And I've said this to you so many times off camera, like, I went to private school my whole life, and until I was 24 years old, I didn't understand the way that my body worked, and I still am figuring it out.
I'm gonna bring it up later in this episode, but the Pia Baroncini's podcast, Everything is the Best, she had
Mhm.
Alyssa Vitti, this doctor where we're gonna be talking about later on,
I
and I
don't know
listened
if
to that.
Alyssa's a doctor.
Okay, maybe
Side
she's not
note,
a doctor. Okay.
but I love her.
Good
But
distinction.
yeah.
I don't think she is because I just looked at her name on the book and it doesn't say doctor. So
Mm-mm.
maybe she's not a doctor, researcher, or whatever. But that episode came out like what, 3 years ago? And I literally sobbed. Just never knew
When I
any of
sent it
this
to
shit
you
about my health. Yeah.
because I just read Alyssa Vitti's book, and then Pia
Right.
had her on, and I freaked out because Alyssa Vitti's book, we'll get into all of it, is, like, why I got off birth control in the flow. This whole thing changed my life. Changed my
Changed
life.
all our lives. But you know what's funny is I kind of intuitively did this protocol before I knew what this was. But anyway,
Well,
let's go top to tail.
yeah.
Let's start with birth control. Let's just talk about the birth control pills, shall we?
Today's an outline kinda day, team.
Yeah, it is. Sorry. If we're looking around, we had to outline our thoughts because we could talk about this
A
for far
lot.
too long and go on way too many tangents. Do you want to start with your experience on birth control? I know Gabby also has an entire YouTube video about it, so we'll link it, but give
I
us a
r
cute little summary.
so I recorded that YouTube video a couple years ago. No, like a
So
year
it's far
ago.
different now. Yeah.
Far different now. Um, I used to pretend to have a YouTube channel. Don't anymore. Might get into it again. Who really knows? But
No, we'll do it later when we have more time.
yeah.
We're just doing this right now.
Mhm. But anyway, I
Mhm.
have a video about my experience getting off the pill, and here's my thoughts with the birth control pills. I think that they're an incredible option because right now we live in a country where shit is really elitist. There's a lot of
Mhm.
resource deserts,
Mhm.
and for a teenage girl or even a woman of whatever age who doesn't want to get pregnant, if that is her only option of not having a child because she's not using protection, she doesn't track her thing, whatever, if that is her only option, is that the option that she chooses, that is fucking phenomenal.
Mhm.
So I just want to have that caveat before I go off onto my personal experience with birth control because it is a fantastic option. If that is what you are choosing to get on, fully support it. It should be completely accessible. Frankly, it should be fucking free.
Both
And
of us have been there. Both of us
mhm,
chose to get on it at one
mhm.
point because we need that option too. Fucking feel it.
And while I feel that, I also feel that
Yeah.
with getting on the pill, we should be given all of the information
Mhm.
because oftentimes, and this happens in medicine, in any sort of part of medicine, this happens. Our ability to actually make the best informed decision for ourselves and for our body is kind of taken away and removed because we're just doctors don't always feel the need to inform us. A lot of times there's the I'm the doctor, you're the patient, don't question me attitude. And I feel like my experience with a lot of gynecologists, that's been the case. And that was the case when I got on
Mhm.
birth control, was I was told I had PCOS when I was 16, and I was told this is the option. There's no cure. You're never going to cure your PCOS, which is, by the way, not true. I have friends who have fully cured their PCOS through different means, but this is the band aid to put on it. It's the only thing that's going to regulate your symptoms. You have to do it. So obviously, I said yes. With that, I was not given all of the side effects. I wasn't given how it actually was going to impact me. I wasn't given that, by the way, there are fucking ways to naturally heal your PCOS. And even if you're doing it naturally or you're doing it with certain hormones that
Mhm.
are like localized, which is things that I'm doing now. So I just think that if you're getting on the pill, it's a great option. I just wish that we were given all of the information so that women could actually make the choice of knowing what's happening to their bodies and knowing what's getting put into their bodies. And sorry, this is a long tangent. This is my issue with, you guys know Meadow and I are both very holistic people and we lean holistic, but we also love the combination of, we have a nice
I
combo of
love
Western
Western, Eastern
and yeah,
medicine.
we love the combo
Love
of
it.
both.
Like, I'm fully getting an epidural and giving birth in a hospital. Like, I love Western medicine,
Yeah,
but I
j'adore.
also love Eastern.
Exactly. So
And there's
while you
problems with both. Okay.
right. So while you know that we love those two options, the issue that I take with people who are lean solely holistic, and this not everyone, I'm not generalizing, but I've been seeing so much fucking shit on social media lately, especially after everything that happened about the way that women take care of their bodies and being like, if you think that being on birth control, like just such horrible things about birth control. And listen, birth control pills fuck with your hormones. They fuck with your sex drive.
Mhm.
They fuck with your body. They can fuck with your fertility. They can
Your
fuck with
mental
like your
health.
mental health. They can fuck with your hair growth. Like they fuck with a lot. Okay.
Mhm.
So yes, this is why I think we need to be given the facts so you can actually fucking opt in and make a choice that's good for you. That said, it is so fucking elitist for people to believe that just because it has these bad side effects, that
That's the bad option, and no
that
one
it's the
should
bad
ever do
option.
it.
Because
It's so
there are
stupid.
fucking places in the world where people don't have fucking access to your fucking $60 herbs that you're taking every day to fucking regulate your hormones, okay?
Mhm.
And in the same way, these same fucking people have been posting things that infuriate me about access to abortions, being like, if you think that the government is taking away your right to an abortion, like you're a sheep. Like you're just these sheep that follow like, and yes, yes, to the point of like I just said, thank God that there are these companies and these nonprofits that will help fund you and get you to a state where you can get one safely. So no, the government does not have the fucking right to tell you what to do with their body as much as they're trying to do so. But my issue with all of these people that post these things is that it is from such an elitist standpoint and such they're sitting on their privileged throne because
Oh
they're
my
like,
god.
women
Absolutely.
from the beginning of time have been giving themselves natural abortions. And if you think that the fucking government is taking it, and I'm like, okay, for a second, let's just pretend that your fucking abortion in the woods story with all your herbs works. Let's just pretend, okay? Because I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if it's done safely, maybe there's natural ways to do it. Who knows? Let's just pretend that it works. What happens with an ectopic pregnancy?
Mhm.
What happens when she's miscarrying and the baby won't fully miscarry, so she's
Mhm.
fucking bleeding out?
Mhm.
What happens when
What
she
happens
make
to anyone in an unsafe situation that's having sex against their will, that
Mhm.
wants to protect themselves from having to carry someone else's life when they're being sexually abused?
No, but I'm not even talking about that because 'cause I'm these people are saying that
But
if
that's
all
what
of
I
the
but
no, but
these
these people are saying that if that happens to you, you can still go give yourself an abortion. That's what I'm
when you're
telling you.
homeless? When you're homeless, you can
That's
because
what
you
I'm
have
saying.
access to those resources? That's
Exactly.
interesting. That's
So
interesting.
interesting. So this
Mhm.
is what fucking infuriates me about that
Yeah.
perspective is like, okay, just keep sitting on like your throne of lies and
Mhm.
like your fucking throne of just elite
Judgment?
judgment, fucking what is the word that keeps escaping my brain because I can't speak English today or Spanish.
Privilege?
Yes, thank you. It pisses me off so
Mhm.
much.
Mhm.
It pisses me
Mhm.
off because yes, we can sit here and be like, we're so holistic. We're not on birth control. We're doing all these things, which you and I do. But like, guess what, bitch? Because we have fucking access to do it. So I'm not going to tell a woman to not fucking put hormones in her body or to go get an abortion the natural way because she doesn't have fucking access to do so.
Period.
Tangent over. Sorry.
Period. No, I completely agree. I would listen, I was on birth control for over 10 years. I, in 8th grade, got my period in 6th grade, star testing week. Anyone remember that in California? Got my period in 8th grade or 6th grade. In 8th grade, was having cramps so badly that I was like crying in my mom's bed. And my aunt, who's a psychiatrist, was like, you can just go on the pill. And I was like, oh, can I? Boom. The second I got on the pill, I started having sex. It was awesome. But then I was on the pill. It was awesome. Thank you so much. But yeah, same thing. I was told nothing about it. I was told nothing about side effects. I was told I could skip all sugar pills and just keep pumping hormones and never get a period if I didn't want to. So I did that for like 12 years. And I cycled on every different level of hormones. I cycled on every different what's it called? When branded pills get like mainstream and
Generic?
they keep generic. I have so many different generic brands that they just keep cycling you through. And then I decided to go off it after my abusive relationship because I was like, my body doesn't feel good. I've been depressed for years. I keep switching meds. And as I was switching meds, I was
Mhm.
having different side effects. And after, coming out on the other side, I was like, oh, like my body is the happiest it's ever been. My brain is more clear. Like my personality is a fucking 12 when it used to be like a 4. Like it just changed my entire life and made my body feel so much better, so it just ended up being right for me. But there was years and years in there from high school to college that, like, thank fucking God I was on it, and it was helpful. I knew no other choices, like, it's what I needed. Times I had sexual experiences that, like, were not completely I was not completely consenting to, and thank God I was on that for that. Like, I will never ever tell someone that they shouldn't be on it if it's working for you and if it's what you want and what you have. However, if it's not working for you and you've gone through some side effects, so have Gabby and I. And let's tell you about our process of getting off of it because my God, do we feel so much better now? And there's also a lot of research and a lot of different other ways that you can not get pregnant if you have the access and means to kind of go through protocols like this that can be abundantly helpful. And I do think that's a lot of our listeners. So I want to talk through what that looks like. Actually, before we move into all that, I do have a couple more caveats to say about birth control. One, Johnny Harris is one of my favorite YouTubers. He's like a really cool journalist on YouTube. And after the Roe v. Wade undoing, he came out with a video called "Why Isn't There Any Male Birth Control?" which is an awesome watch. I'll link it in the description. It's actually because birth control in and of itself is, and low key, the founder of Planned Parenthood is so grounded in racism and eugenics. It's absolutely horrific. And like the first birth control pills were all tested on women in Puerto Rico that were either told you're getting a mandatory hysterectomy or you can try these pills. And the side effects were horrific. And we did it anyway. And now
What?
anytime, oh yeah. And now anytime there's trials for male birth control, the side effects are deemed like too risky or too inappropriate to do by an IRB board or whatever, so that they don't
Right.
continue the research. And they're like minimal compared to what Black and brown women have been tested and going through forever. So
Right, 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 right.
there's a lot to unpack about birth control in general anyway, which is really fucking sad. Like, we don't want to be the ones to tell you that. And Johnny, when he talks about it, reiterates everything we say of like, it's an amazing tool for people that need it, but like also here's the fucking facts about it as well. So
Mhm.
I really encourage everyone to listen to that. Now, speaking of women being used as guinea pigs in research, let's talk about women being left out of research because everything that's ever promoted to make us healthy, nice, happy fucking women in this world, like intermittent fasting, keto, paleo, hit, all this shit is literally only tested on men or women out of their reproductive years of life.
Yes,
Any like
ma'am.
person with female hormones and reproductive hormones is not being included in any of this research. So
Well,
we are just like,
pause,
okay,
pause, because that is from Alyssa Bitty's book, which was published I don't know what year. So, from that year, we don't know necessarily what's going on.
yes,
I
yeah,
doubt
absolutely.
it,
I doubt
but
it.
we do not know.
And just a lot of I mean, it's not to say every single piece of research ever, because like, how could we know that? But the only reason I bring this up is to kind of give context to my own experience. So I was on birth control forever. I was in college. In college, I like absolutely had orthorexia, which means you're so obsessed with clean eating and working out and like a
Mm,
clean lifestyle that it becomes like OCD obsessive and unhealthy. And I did that for a while. My weight's always fucking fluctuated. And like people used to make fun of me when I was in with my high school sweetheart because I was bigger than him. And like that's always been like a insecurity in my, whatever.
mhm,
It goes on and on. Anyway, I would just like do these things that I was told by media who's citing these studies over and over that I thought I was being healthy and informed and empowered about my body and like trying to work out all the time and trying to do intermittent fasting so my cells go into atrophy in a good way and but what like I thought I was being given access and information and resources and I did all these things to change my body and my weight would fluctuate. I was always a little bit chubby, I couldn't figure it out, or I was like being so obsessed with being clean I wasn't happy and like healthy emotionally and mentally. And it honestly was right when I started working that job in San Diego where I met Aaron at. I think that probably had a lot to do with it was I had been off birth control for a little bit and I met Aaron and I was like just happy with him. And I remember our whole coworkers were like gonna do like a whole 30 thing and was doing intermittent fasting and all that jazz. And I
Bitch,
did
I
it
was
for
a
a
Whole
bit.
30 hoe.
Yeah. And I did it for them for a little bit and I was like, I just don't feel good, whatever. And I was like, I'm just gonna stop. Like, I don't want to do any of this. I'm just gonna stop. And I was just like happy, in love, eating whatever I wanted, like not working out as much. Like I'm talking like a fucking eighth of the amount of the time that I used to be working
Mhm.
out. Like, and every time I saw those coworkers again, because like it was right when our program got defunded by the government because they don't believe in mental health issues either.
Mm.
I was just she was like, "Why do you look so good?" I was radiant, my skin was glowing, I was dropping weight, I was looking toned, I was looking cute, like, really rapidly, really quickly by doing absolutely nothing, because my fucking body needed a break, and
Yeah.
I just needed to be nice to it, and the second I was just nice to it and gave myself, like, more grace emotionally, energetically, fucking physically, because of a little bit of the background that we'll get into just to explain the science behind why this happens, like, it changed my mental health, it changed my physical health, it changed everything for me.
I mean, same. You know that I had a very similar experience to that too, where like, I mean, I was on it for 8 years. Same vibe as you. We're like obsessive with eating really, really clean. I would
Mhm.
get really, especially in college, I was really I mean,
Yeah,
definitely had like stints of like just not eating in high school,
yeah.
period. And just disordered eating and things like that in high school. And then in college, it was very obsessive with like clean eating because at that point I could control what I was eating.
Exactly, in the
Hmm.
dorm. Mine first started in the
Hmm.
dorms. Yep.
And big intermittent faster, big
Mhm.
Whole30 bitch,
I never did Whole30.
big
Couldn't do
Soul
it.
Cycle girl. I was like
Ooh, I never
4
did that
times a
either.
week, Soul Cycle, everything.
I was Blogilates since 2012 in my own living room, fucking doing burpees all the time,
I don't know, I was a
if
fucking
anyone
Soul
knows
Cycle
that.
hoe,
Yeah.
and I wasn't eating enough, and
Yep.
going to these crazy workouts, but yeah, it wasn't until I read and basically, but I just didn't understand, like, why my body felt so inflamed. I felt like I just looked like a little boy. Do you know what I mean? But,
Mm,
like, with
mhm,
tits. Like, I had
mhm,
really my boobs were huge when I was on birth
mhm.
control, but I just, like
Oh my gosh, mine were I remember in 8th grade getting big boobs right when I went on it, and then immediately they got small again, and ever since
no.
they're
Oh,
non-existent now.
I'll never forget the summer I went on it summer going into junior year of high school, and I came back to school and everyone was like, "What?" I grew 2 cup sizes in 2 months.
Yeah, I think I grew 1 in, like, 2 months.
Mhm.
Yeah, a
I
month.
got such bad stretch marks from it.
Oh my
Anywhos.
gosh, wait, also, sorry, I'm just having PTSD to also when I first got on birth control, I had my period for 35 days straight. I was one of those lucky gals that happened to me twice, so
I
just
used
fun
to
memories.
spot, yeah, I used to spot a lot.
Mhm.
But anyway, basically fast forward through college, fast forward through me working in New York, where also my body just took a rapid
I
turn.
mean, you
I
were
was real fucking thin.
you were on
Um,
fight or flight in New York all the time,
no, lliterally, I remember I came up for Christmas and
24/7.
my aunt was like, "Why are you so skinny? Like, are you not eating?" And I was like, "Honestly, I'm so stressed. I don't eat because I don't have
Yeah.
time and I can't think about it." Anywho's, um,
Normal.
that was fun. Also, I'd like go to fashion events and they'd be like, "Here's a sample size that you need to fit into."
That's
And
exactly
I
what I
was
was
like,
just
"Guess
thinking.
so."
Uh-huh.
But yeah, anyway, pandemic hits, I start reading Alyssa Bitty's book that my friend told me to read, and I'm, like, having all these, like, "Oh my fucking god," aha moments where the shit
Mhm,
about intermittent fasting, and I was like, "Wow, I've been
mhm,
intermittent fasting for a year." The shit about, like, different workouts because basically Alyssa Bitty's book also really focuses on people with PCOS and, like, endometriosis and all those sort of things.
or any other, yeah, kind of
Mhm, and
issues,
I also, by
unique
the way,
issues.
I talk about it in the YouTube video about birth control and my PCOS experience. Everyone's PCOS and everyone's, like, endometriosis is so fucking different, and me doing
Mhm.
holistic shit and working now with a gynecologist who is, a Western doctor, but leans, towards holistic
Preventative
approaches and preventative yes, thank you,
care.
preventative care.
Mhm.
Um, she's allowed me to sort of figure out my PCOS in our own way and heal it in our own way, but that said, some people might have
Not gonna
PCOS
work for
that
everyone.
is way more
Yeah.
gnarly than mine, and it's not working and, whatever. So, keep that in mind, and work with a doctor, please.
Good caveat.
Mhm. Because I just hate, like I follow someone who has endometriosis, and every time she posts about it, like, people are just throwing so many, like, tips at her, and she's like, "Fuck you, like, I've tried all of this, like, leave me alone." So I just wanted to have that caveat. But anyway, I got off birth control for my personal reasons of it was giving me mad mental health brain fog. I felt like I was just, like, living on numb. all the time.
Mhm.
I didn't know what my body was actually supposed to look like because I got my period when I was like 15 and then I got on the
Mhm.
pill when I was 16. So
Yeah.
I never really like puberty never fully hit. I
Yep.
didn't know what my body was supposed to look like. I didn't know what my mind was supposed to feel like. My sex drive was super low. It was really fucking hard for me to like get
Mhm.
wet. And I'm like in my
Same.
early 20s, like what's going on?
Yep.
Um, which by the way, every time I talked about it with a doctor, they'd be like, well, that's the pill. I don't know what to tell you. Do you want an IUD? Like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Same.
That was always
Same.
the conversation of like, you just gotta
Mhm.
deal with it.
Mhm.
And anyway, I got off it. Alyssa Bitty's book has a lot of stuff to help you wean off of it again with access because like these supplements are fucking expensive and you have to have the time and patience to fucking do it and not be working a job with a
Mhm.
bunch of children waiting for you at home.
Mhm. Mhm.
Do we want to talk about like what happened after? Not yet because I could talk about that
Well,
forever.
I do, but I wanna just give a little bit of context. So basically, we all know that we have a biological clock as humans called our circadian rhythm. And that's how we know that
Yay.
like we wake up in the morning and need vitamin D and it helps us produce our own melatonin and go to sleep at night. And sleep is so important for our health. And there's countless studies about it. What's not taught to us in school is that from your first period to your last period, any person with female hormones is also experiencing a second biological clock. And that's called
Infradian.
infradian. And that also
Who knew?
doesn't just manage your periods, it manages your brain, your metabolism, your immune system, your stress response, your microbiome, and the entire reproductive system, which is menstruation, fertility, and sex drive.
Fucking
So it's kind
bitch.
of important, like, kind of
It's
important.
super
It's interesting that
important.
we were never fucking taught about it
I
because when I learned
know.
that, I cried.
Me too. I learned it at 24 years old. That's why I said
Uh-huh.
private school my whole life. Didn't learn about any of this.
Super fucking fun. So basically,
Yeah.
everything in our life, like all of our fucking like cultural constructs of time are based around only one biological clock, the 24-hour one, which is
Yes.
male, when
Yeah.
women not only have a 24-hour one, but a 28-day one. And guess what else? That's why, like, why do you think work is from, you know, 9
Mhm.
to 3 and then happy hour 3 to 5 because men from 5 AM start releasing their testosterone while
They're
women
ready to go.
literally biologically need 20 more minutes of sleep a day for their brain. It's just like
Oh,
so much of
but
our cultural stuff is just based on that. And when you realize like it's not your fault that you can't keep up, you were taught wrong things about your body. And here's like ways to be nice to it that can actually help you feel like your best self. It is just absolutely fucking mind blowing to me.
the
Go ahead.
fact that
Sorry.
I literally almost threw that book at my ex-boyfriend's head when he wanted to do a 6 a.m. morning challenge with me for a week of waking up every day at 6 a.m. and like working out. And I literally told him to go fuck himself in like 7 different ways and handed him the book and was like, because he was like, "Don't be lazy. You're lazy."
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh
Like
my god, oh my
women
god,
are
oh my
just
god, oh my god.
lazy. And I was like, "Okay,
I
bet.
I
You wanna talk to me
will
about lazy?"
literally
Especially when
punch
he was
you in
like
the mouth.
holistic. He was like a holistic king over here. I was like, "Read this, you piece of shit."
I will punch you in the mouth.
Which by the way, also with that, my gynecologist just told me this, and
Oh,
again, specific to my PCOS, Elizabeth's book has, like, different workouts and things for different part of your cycle because we have 4
yes.
phases within that
And
infradian rhythm.
food
So, like mhm,
work stuff and whatever. Yeah.
my ex used to make so much fun of me for, like, the Pilates that I did, being like, "Pilates is not a real workout, like, you're not like, you're whatever." My doctor, last time I saw her, like, 2 months ago when I went for my little checkup, she was like, "You're not doing a fuckload of cardio, are you?" And I was like, "No, I mean, I, like, go on hikes." And she was like,
Mhm.
"Good, keep it there." She's like, she goes, "SoulCycle, one of the worst things you could do when you have PCOS." And I go,
Cool,
"Oh,
cool, 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 cool,
cool,
cool,
cool,
cool,
cool,
cool,
cool, cool,
cool.
cool, cool." So glad I was doing it 45 times a week for years.
Is it
And I
cuz
go,
is it
"Why?"
'cause it puts you in
I'll
fight or
explain to you.
flight? Is it
It
okay.
yeah, it basically spikes your cortisol, which in turn
Stress
spikes your
hormone.
testosterone.
Mhm.
And when you have PCOS, your testosterone is way out of
Is
whack and
already
you're
yeah,
producing way too much already.
right.
So that's why it's actually counterintuitive. You're not gonna lose weight. It you're gonna get like your body's not gonna do what it needs to be doing as a woman. Um,
Yeah.
and so we were talking about that, and I was like, yeah, Pilates is perfect. You need like those lean toning exercises. Like you can't do hit workouts,
Yeah.
like blah 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 blah. And now I just my guilt when I like because I had someone else in my life the other day be like, Pilates isn't real. I'm like, come with me. Take a
Come
Pilates
oh
class with
my
me.
god. I
You want to tell
do
me that
a
Pilates
fucking beginner
isn't
class
easy?
on YouTube. I love
Come
taking
with me to hot Pilates, see what happens.
exactly. Not to totally stereotype or be heteronormative, but I do love I get a sick pleasure taking guy friends to a hot yoga class or do a Pilates video with me because you're just like you can watch them fucking bench all day and then they're doing
Yeah.
Pilates with their own weight and they're like
No, literally,
so much
I
fun.
go to hot Pilates, and there's always, like, every now and again, there'll be, like, a guy in the class that you can tell is, like, a straight man, like, a straight
Yeah.
single man, like, he's there solo. You can definitely tell he's, like, scoping out the room in the
Oh
beginning,
yeah.
like, who are the hot girls. It's, like, in the middle of West Hollywood, like, there's fucking hot people in this class,
Yeah.
and by the end of the class, they're, like, dropping dead, and I'm like, "Yeah,
Checks out.
get it." Anyway,
Makes sense.
go on.
What was I saying?
I don't know. We were talking
Uh,
about our cycles, our infradian rhythm, the guidebook,
I just
which
I do I don't know. I'm like Gabby and I have were trying to talk about this episode this morning and we're like struggling with how much we want to say because there's so many different places we can go with all of this
right.
information and we're not experts on it. Like I don't want to be here to be like listen to everything we
Like,
say
we
as
want
textbook.
Alyssa on the
We want
podcast.
Elisa on to explain it. Like please read the book yourself and empower yourself. I think the whole point is just to say like knowledge is power and like having the right information and like the way media tricks us into thinking what the right information is, the way the government thinks they can trick us into thinking that they have the right to control our bodies. Like all we want to do with this podcast over and over and is just to empower us to really like think critically, see the nuance, question everything, like try new things, learn and grow in real time. And I think that's just why we wanted to just kind of go on a rabbit hole down this today and talk about all these options and just give people empowerment tools that have helped us. Who knows where we're reaching you in your life if this will help you?
Mhm.
There's so many other beautiful tools out there and by no means are we the end all be all access for information, but just from our own experiences, like those are some of the things that really empower us. Those are our experiences with them. And that's kind of I mean, that's kind of all we can move into an unpacking if you want. That's kind of all I had to say about this.
No, honestly, that was the most beautifully said, wrap it in a bow thing.
Yeah.
I feel good with it.
Okay. But do you have an unpacking you want to talk about?
Mm,
How was Anna Maria yesterday?
I don't really wanna talk about
Okay, cool. Oh, boundaries!
it.
We're learning them. Look at us.
Yeah, it was good. I feel a little bit tired, and I don't feel like talking about it, but it was good. I saw Anna Maria again. She will come on the podcast eventually. She gave me good homework.
Oh, I love the good homework from Anna
I
Maria.
just feel my neck is fucking killing me. I, like, can't tilt my head. Ow! Like, what I just did really
Why did you
hurts.
why don't we just call it a day then? It'll be a shorter episode than usual, but you know what? We have some really good ones
Oh god, we have
coming
really good
soon.
episodes coming. We have such good guests.
We have such good guests coming soon. We also have like more exclusive content out on our Patreon because we're like
Mhm.
slowly but surely pumping that out. So like come over there and hang out with us too.
Yes.
Also, it's such a like smaller community right now. We're like I'm just waiting for you guys to talk to me on there. Like please come and talk to me.
Meadow's favorite thing is talking to people on
Yeah,
the interwebs.
exactly.
She's so good at it too. I tell you every day, I'm like, "Oh,
Thanks.
community management, babe, you're great at it."
Thanks.
Sometimes I'll see DMs that I just don't have, like, the mental capacity to answer, and I'll, like, leave them unread on purpose because 'cause I'm like,
Oh
"Meadow,
my
please
god.
go look at it."
You gotta remind me to do that because those are ones I forget about.
Sorry, we read your DMs. It's just sometimes, uh
We divide and conquer all of
yeah.
our oh my god, I made it did I we even say it since
No,
recording? I made us a Twitter, you guys. I made us a Twitter just because my friend Dana, who's an absolute fucking
it's
genius.
coming on the podcast.
I was just gonna say foreshadowing, told me that I need to make a Twitter, so I made us a Twitter. It's just gonna be all my high mental health thoughts, so everyone go.
Yeah, and, like, some fun isms. I don't know, Meadow and I are listen, not to toot our own horns, but, like, we got some funny one-liners in us.
I think we're funny on the internet,
I don't know.
just
You know
saying.
what's I'm funnier when I'm, like, in a bad mood because I think it just comes out easier.
I think I'm funnier when I'm in a good mood.
Wow, look at that.
But that kind of explains our my post today about our co-host dynamic. I literally I don't even care if other people think it's funny. I was going through those just
I was
cackling.
cackling. I was laughing so
Like,
hard at all of those.
ah, I love him.
Our
Our
dynamic is
dynamic is
funny.
cute. I know. I love you.
I love you too. I hope this
Thanks for doing
episode was
this with me.
helpful. I know sometimes it was a little all over the place, but Meadow
And
reeled us in. My brain is
well,
really
clearly
not. here today.
Yeah. And also
So,
clearly, like, it's an emotional fucking conversation for we didn't even get into our experience with abortions. Like, there's so much, not to say that we've had or have not had them, like, not in that way, but just like there's so much to unpack here. And clearly we're so emotional about it. But here's what we had to say about it today. I hope it was helpful.
I hope you smile today.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the Thoughts May Vary podcast every Monday.